you guys can hear me. It's very, very nice to be back here again. It's especially nice to be able to study. One of the best things about being up here is actually having to make time to read, understand, question even more. So I thank you for the opportunity. Today, we're talking about the laws of destruction and the laws of construction. In the Spirit's book, what they call Book 3, which is a sub-item within the Spirit's book, is an entire part dedicated to the moral laws, right? So amongst them, there is the laws of progression, and within the laws of progression, there is the laws of destruction and the laws of construction, which seem antagonic when you really think about them, right? If you really think about it, why would the divine knowledge establish amongst us living beings, a struggle for survival, a need for reciprocal destruction, or destruction by means of calamities, of natural calamities, right? When you think about that, it really seems questionable, right? Why do they exist? So there's a little bit of what we want to try to cover, and we want to try to cover and try to understand that these principles are in accordance to the Creator's justice and kindness towards us. So everything we have for you today comes from the Spirit's book. 28 questions that we're covering, questions 728 through 756. You can go into more in-depth details about them. It really covers why we have to go through all the calamities we go through, natural and not, and we'll talk more about them in a moment. But you can go back in there if you do want to. To read a little bit more in depth on that. So let's see if I can get this to work. Because I always have a hard time here. So let's get started. First by talking about evolution, right? From the very beginning of our evolutionary saga, all human beings have been traced by survival. So from as far back as we can date humans, there's always been a struggle. So first, they had to struggle to survive day by day. Then they figured out little things like fire, right, little thing. They figured out that they could find shelter by putting together leaves and caves and things like that. So it's always been survival. It's always been the struggle. We've never just had it easy, right? There was always two instincts dwelling in the survival: conservation and destruction. So we need to conserve ourselves, we need to survive. In order to do that, we had to destroy something. To this date, we are still not up to the point where we don't need to destroy. For example, we still need food to eat, and we still find a lot of our survival from animals and from lower animals and things like that. So, but from day one, from way back in the day, we have always struggled with that, right? So it has existed. Conservation and destruction has existed for as long as humanity has been alive. And that's actually a tool, an instrument that we're given to attain, to reach our goals. So if I want to make it to tomorrow, I have to find a way to sleep through all the problems of tonight, right? We've had that. So in the study of the moral laws in the Spirit's book, we are given an ample philosophical and scientific study or view based on the unity of the creation of immortality, right? Of the creation, immortality, of reincarnation, and the progress of beings. And those three things together allow us to have a better understanding of the supreme being's purpose, where the acquisitions of each individual are the result of their own efforts on the limited path of creation. So the acquisitions of each individual are the result of their own efforts on the unlimited path of creation. We are created simple and unaware. Every one of us were, right? We are given a goal. The goal is perfection, which we all we will attain. We will all reach that goal one day. Regardless of where I am or where you are today, we will all reach that goal. It might take more or less time depending on how stubborn I am, but we will get there, right? But the understanding of immortality, so we survive the body, the understanding of reincarnation gives us the opportunity to evolve, and the progress of beings, which comes through the multiple lives we go through, gives us the understanding that sometimes things have to be destroyed in order to become something better, right? There is the theory of the phoenix that dies, and from the ashes a better and newer version of it comes out. We basically somewhat can think of it the same way. So every time our physical body dies, our spirit continues, and everybody we inhabit from then on becomes a better version of us each time. So we don't come back in a similar situation ever, right? Our purpose is that every time we come back, every time we reincarnate on a better field, a better situation. It is up to us to make that choice, but what they're saying is we will get to perfection. So my physical body needs to die, so my spirit can become free to reincarnate and start a new step on my evolution. And combined with our evolution, the world is also evolving with us. So only the knowledge of the spiritual principle, which is considered our true essence, only the understanding of the spirit surviving the body and the law of unity that makes up the harmony of creation, can mankind have the key to this mystery and show him a providential knowledge and harmony exactly where he sees only anomalies and contradiction, right? So when we look on the perspective of a single lifetime, and this is all we have, then losing this seems so unfair, right? It's so hard to lose someone we love when we don't understand that there's more to it. When we understand that the spirit goes on, that although we will miss, and we're not saying, what I'm saying is not we can't miss the loved ones that have gone, but the understanding that the spirit goes on. So spirit to spirit, we will meet again, right? Then we are given that opportunity to understand and see harmony and knowledge in God's goals for us, rather than just seeing anomalies and contradiction. So instead of being upset and angry at God for what is happening or for the destruction that has happened in our lives or around us, we can see beyond this moment to the eternal and be able to see that we will meet again, we will come across those loved ones again. So question is, right, is it possible to evolve without destroying? So let's think about it. If there was no destruction, and we now are talking about natural destruction, so one of the biggest examples, as I just mentioned, is old age, right? We do know that we have a finite time here in this physical body. So whether be it 30, 40, or 100, it's finite. None of us are going to be here forever, right? Is it possible to evolve without destroying? Our physical body is given a finite time, and it has a finite energy. So the more we grow, the older we get, we lose that, because physically speaking, we're just not able to keep up with what our spirit may want to, right? So the destruction is necessary. So let's think about it. If we have all the will in the world and we have a body that can't keep up with us anymore, right? How do we continue? How do we progress? So say I have come to sense with myself, and I understand I have to work on improving, as I always say, my favorite one, patience, right? So I have to learn to apply that in my life. So now that I'm in my 30s and 40s and 50s, it's a lot easier to do something about changing myself than it will be as we get older, just because our physical body doesn't follow us, right? Um, so at some point, for me to continue and to evolve over that gap, I have to move on spiritually. So my spirit needs to move on. Destruction, in that sense, in the natural sense, is necessary, right? It's part of our growth. Where are the ethical limits of destruction? So we find the ethical limits of destruction as we evolve as human beings. So, for example, today, when we look and we start to realize that we are part of the ecosystem, um, we start to modify our behavior towards that ecosystem. So, for example, a few decades ago, it was very common to have deforestation, to have killings, and it was acceptable and common until we started to realize that, wait, if I destroy all the forests in the world, I need the forest so that the world can continue, so that I can continue, right? And we start to modify our behavior. So the ethic of destruction improves as we improve, right? Our living model becomes more sustainable as we become understanding that we need our ecosystem to live with us. We are not above anything or anyone. So, in the Spiritist point of view, destruction has a double goal, right? First of all, let's talk about the common sense of the word destruction, which means to annihilate or to extinguish. If you go to any dictionaries, those are the two most common definitions I found in a couple of them that I was researching. So for the Spiritist point of view, it has two different goals, the word destruction. Instead of thinking of annihilation or extinction, think of maintenance of balance, and think of dynamics of life, right, of progression. So the law of destruction is the law of transformation, metamorphosis, having as a goal the renewal and betterment of human beings. So despite the fact that we sometimes don't understand how can this situation, how can this calamity make me a better person, as a whole, when we as a humanity go through a calamity, we grow together, right? A great example of something that happened recently here in Orlando is right after we had that shooting a couple of months ago. Instead of seeing more people angry and upset, we saw even more people getting together and loving one another. So that's what you're talking about, renewal and betterment of human beings. So those situations, despite all the bad that we see in them, we can look with a different point of view and be able to see the good in this. I mean, I remember seeing showers of love and prayers and so many things, which was incredible. When you thought that the city was going to fall apart, that's when we came together as a city. And this happens all over, right? So the goal for the Spiritist point of view of destruction is the betterment of the human beings. Is for me and you to understand and to come closer to all of those who are our brothers and sisters without distinction. There's no distinction between me and you and none of us, right? We may have different skin tones, we may have different lifestyles, but there's no distinction between us on a spiritual level. We all have the same origin and the same destination. And when we are able to look around us and help move forward, then we are able to better move forward faster, right? When we walk alone, how can you imagine walking towards our goal of perfection and leaving everyone we love behind, leaving all the brothers and sisters that we know we have behind us? So when we become that person conscientious of our surroundings, then not only we are moving forward, but we are bringing the whole world with us. So, where is life really real? um, so we've talked about it, right? We said that the spirit is what survives our physical body, right? The essential part of the thinking being is distinct from the physical body and does not get destroyed with the disintegration of the letter. So my spirit goes on. No matter what happens to me tomorrow, my spirit will go on. It will carry with it all the memories, all the wisdom that I have acquired through my lifetime, but it will go on. The body will perish. It will serve as a purpose to renewal of the earth and soil and so forth, but the spirit will go on. So the real life of being, be it animals or humans, is not a physical body. It is an intelligent principle, and it pre-exists and survives the material body. And the material body becomes extinguished once its job is done, right? The spirit, on the other hand, comes out stronger and stronger, more aware, more apt after each reincarnation. So every reincarnation, we can fool ourselves. We will come out better than the way we came in. As long as we strive to become better, and most humans beings do, we may walk slow, but we never walk back. We don't walk back. Once we've reached a different step on the ladder to perfection, we will come out at least a little better every single time. So, according to the divine plan, life and death can be seen as the two faces of the same coin. The law of destruction is a complement to the evolutionary process, given it is necessary to die to be reborn, right? So, destruction with construction. We need to destroy in order to continue evolving. And meanwhile, we go through thousands of metamorphoses, incarnated in different bodies that are slowly better, all the while going through more clear state of conscience until we can reach the kingdom of knowledge. The instinct of destruction coexists with the instinct of conservation as a counterweight. A balance so that the first does not happen before time, does not happen too soon, because when it happens too soon, destruction actually becomes an obstacle to the development of intelligence. So what we're talking here is anything that goes against God's laws, for example, suicide or things like that, that's against natural destruction, right? Anything that goes against God's laws is not considered natural destruction. I don't know if you guys have heard of the story of a man that found a cocoon on his backyard, right? And he saw it develop and until the moment they started to hatch. And that guy thought, poor butterfly, she's struggling so much to come out of that cocoon, and I'm gonna try to help her. So he went and opened that cocoon for the butterfly, thinking that he's helping, when in reality, the struggle that the butterfly has to go through in order to come out of the cocoon is what gives her strength to fly. So because he helped that butterfly, he opened that cocoon up, that butterfly was never able to fly. She was never able to unroll her wings, right? So destruction has to happen at its right time, not before. So anything we do because we think we can do better now might not be the best solution for the overall, like the butterfly who can never ever fly after that. So we've talked a little bit about the two types of destructions, right? There's natural destruction and there's abusive destruction. So on question 728, the Spirit's book tells us that it's necessary to destroy in order to renew. What you call destruction is but transformation and an opportunity for the betterment of things. Then they go on to tell us that the abusive destruction is when we are going against God's laws. We just said that. So natural destruction happens with the goal of maintaining the balance of the ecosystems. For instance, in the natural death of bodies, natural fires of forests, right, where they can get rid of plagues, for example, volcano eruptions, earthquakes, river floodings. All these regulate the renewal of cycles of life. So those are necessary in our world in order to regulate, be it regulating the population of a species, be it regulating diseases or plagues or anything like that. But they do exist, they do happen naturally, and they are part of our evolution. They are not an accident of nature, right? We're not talking about a man-made started fire. We're talking about natural fires. We're talking about earthquakes or anything like that that happens naturally, right? Another thing that's important to note is that no one suffers without a fair reason. So when these phenomena, this natural destruction phenomena happens, they usually have a goal, and they usually mean the elevation or the moral elevation of the people that are going through that situation, and it has an ultimate goal of the happiness of those individuals. Although it's hard for us to understand or to see that when it happens, right, it does have a purpose. These global happenings are collective trials. They are events where people redeem for crimes from past lives. They are also an individual opportunity to repay for individual debts or collective debts. Okay? It's interesting to note that when an event like that happens, only the persons that have to be there are there, you know? In many of these situations, you probably will know stories of people that should have been there one day and they, for whatever reason, missed the train or the bus, or something happened, they couldn't catch that flight, or I was gonna go visit my mother, then my sister got sick and I couldn't go there. You know, so there's always, everyone that's in a calamity or in a situation like that is a person that has to be there. It's something that's part of their plan of life in order for them to redeem for individual past or collective debt that they have caused themselves. So it is something that it allows us to develop feelings such as patience, resignation, solidarity, and love to one another, towards one another, right? It also allows us to develop our intelligence when facing these challenges. So in Indonesia, in 2013, there was one of those tsunamis. Thank you. The word came out of my head. So there was one of those tsunamis, and I believe over 5,000 or 7,000 people were killed on that tsunami 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, right? It's a horrible calamity. The government at that point thought about it and tried to improve and bring the technology in order to protect the people. And about a year and a half later, a second tsunami came to the same region, and only 200 people died. That's because as a group, they have exercised the intelligence and they have put things into place where they could prevent something similar to happening again, right? So we are given an opportunity like that. When we had what we happened here, our people came together in an abundance of love and togetherness, as I've never seen such a thing, you know. So whether you're putting your intelligence towards physical needs or towards humanity or towards love, we are always growing through these different experiences that we have, the different calamities and different situations we are put through. So God does give us, this is question 738 in the Spirit's book. The Spirit tells us that God does give us other means to evolve every day. but we do not take advantage of them. So through these trials, we have an opportunity to feel our own weakness. So this is very interesting, right? They were asking, Allan Kardec was asking the spirits, how come we have to go through things like that, right? And they're telling us, you are giving so many opportunities to grow every day through little things, through small actions, through small changes. And you are selfish, you know? You want what you want because you think that you are the center of the universe. And I'm not talking about me and you individually. I'm saying as a group, right? We are talking about us as a society. So when a calamity hits a specific location, a specific group of people, it's because we're given an opportunity to feel ourselves, our own weakness, and modify who we are, right? So we could have come out of the Orlando situation with a whole lot more anger. We came out with a whole lot more love. So we took the weakness, transformed it immediately into something else. So abusive destruction has a predatory mean. It has selfish reasons and excuses, right? Unnecessary needs. So it shows the different facets of violence. It is the one that is created in a predatory mean, and it has selfish reasons. And some people will use excuses of feeding or satisfy passions, unnecessary needs, consumerism, animal huntings, bull rings, killings, anything like that. Anything that goes against God's natural laws, right? It's important to mention that when we don't use our freedom with wisdom, we become subject to the law of cause and effect. As I always tell my kids when I teach them the youth program, if you throw a ball on the wall, it's going to come right back at you. If you throw it really fast, it's going to come really fast back. It's going to hit you a lot stronger, right? So the law of cause and effect means that whatever we do will come back to us. It doesn't have to necessarily be the exact same ball, but it will happen, right? The reason why we go through these calamities, the reason why we are sometimes in these calamities, we go through in the middle of these situations. But none of us are exempt from the laws of cause and effect. So the need for destruction tends to disappear when we, as incarnated spirits, as mankind, through our moral and intellectual evolution, overcome matter. As we acquire a moral sense, we become more averse to violence. So the more morals I have, the more difficult it will be for me to commit an act of crime. So for each one of us, the more we become moral, we have better morals, the less a society will have crimes involved in them. So when we look in our progression of the past 100 or 200 years, nowadays you see a lot more people who are eating vegan, for example. And please don't think that I'm saying you have to start eating vegan today. That's not what I'm saying. That's part of our evolution. But when we start to see our entire ecosystem as part of us and as us being in unity with them, we start seeing other animals also as part of that ecosystem. And we will start seeing that we can get our survival through other means. So we see different things. So today we see more people fighting to have the forests remain intact rather than the continuous destruction of them for our own needs, right? So where there used to be lakes and rivers and forests and green areas, now we have all cement and concrete cities. But we are now starting to see more and more people going back into the greenways, into the, going into that opportunity of bringing back the ecosystem into surviving with us. So until we fully develop our spirits, we're going to continue to be subject to the challenges of human struggle, and which which our successes will come from our own efforts, experiences, and knowledge. And at this point, the fight becomes purely intellectual. Mankind will struggle against their difficulties, but no more against their kind, right? So as we as we evolve, we start having a bigger struggle with ourselves rather than with the world around us, because we want to become the best version of what we can be or who we are. And at that point, we will stop fighting with others so that we can fight internally and overcome those different things. So, like I said, one of the things I know I work a lot on is patience, right? Because we know that when we have an instant response, it's because we are not yet quite ready to take that situation and understand the situation or see the position of our brothers and sisters, right? So instead of reacting to a situation, the goal for me is to be able to listen, take it in, try to see it with their eyes, and modify my behavior. So now, the goal is that one day I no longer fight with them, I fight with me, because I want to become that person that's able to do that. So that's our goal, through to destroy that person that exists in me in order to build a whole new world, to build a whole new person that's more apt to reach our final goal, which is perfection. So until mankind overcomes themselves, they will never be able to overcome nature. And that's actually the end. But before that, and I forgot to put it in here, in Matthew, in the Bible, Matthew 6, 25 through 26 and 33, Matthew left this message for us. He says, "Do not worry about your lives as to what you have to eat, or with your body, or what about what you have to dress with. In life, isn't life more than just the food that you feed your body and the clothes that you dress your body? Find first a place in the kingdom of God, in your justice, and all of these things will come to you," right? And this is from Matthew, from 2,000 years ago, right? One of the lessons that Jesus left us. Find the justice, and all of these things you need will come to you. Find it inside you. Understand that our biggest fight and our biggest struggle is inside us. And when we are able to destroy our old self, we will be able to become that person and that society that we aim to see, which is of elevated spirits. So that's what I have for you. Thank you so very much.